Hey, you beautiful being. Welcome back to another episode of the Radical Healing Podcast. I'm your host, Jess Betancourt, and today I'm taking us back to the old school because I'm old fool who's so cool. If you have been here at the origin, if you had been here at the origin story or founding, launching episodes of the Radical Healing, it was originally called the Mindful Drinking for Women podcast. That was way back in 2021, the spring of 2021, when I started this podcast, and it's gone through some iterations. And I'm taking us back to the old school today because for me, if you have been here, hello. And if you are new here, hello as well. For me, my journey in healing has had so much to do with my entanglement and my attachment to alcohol use and the phases and eras that I've gone through with weaning it and minimizing it and coming away from it. And now in 2026, spring of 2026, just finding myself in this place of I'm ready for another layer, like a next level of that. And it reminded me of if you've seen Uncle Buck, that John Hughes movie with John Candy, that's so classic. And they have to call him to come watch the kids because they're called away when a family member is sick. And Uncle Buck comes in, and like the wife just has this kind of rocky relationship with him. And she's like really unsure about having him in the house. And he's like, well, don't worry. You'd be proud of me. I quit smoking. I quit smoking cigarettes. And she's like, oh, really? That's great. And he goes, yeah, I'm on to cigars now. I'm on the 5-year plan. Went from cigarettes to cigars, and then I'm gonna get the patch, chewing tobacco, and by the time I'm 60, I'll be tobacco free. And I was like, oh, that's kind of how I've been with my alcohol use, going from drinking whatever was around, down by the river as a teenager to ordering shots and mixed cocktails in the bars to becoming someone who thought I was being more refined and elegant in my red wine choices to then, oh, white wine is better for my teeth and I won't drink as much of it and I can mix it with water and ice and those sort of stages to where I am up until recently having only really been identifying and attracted to drinking hoppy IPAs. And so I've done the Uncle Buck with my drinking, and now I feel like I'm culminated in some way. And so I really wanted to make this podcast to share with you a few things, how I've done that, why it seemed like each next thing was kind of a holy grail and to get to, and also why I found myself at this stage where it's kind of just leaving me and how I have intentionally craved this phase where it would just, the desire to be drinking in any form would just leave me. And I'm really finding myself quite comfortably sitting in that space. And so I want to share with you today how you can do that for yourself or call that in for yourself in some capacity, just in a way that feels aligned. A lot of my teaching and coaching around weaning and minimizing alcohol use has been really centered around it's so personal, it's so personable. And I think that's why more people don't modify their drinking or they don't quit altogether, is because it feels like there's some template way that needs, or some ritualized or dogma style that's attached to how that, what that looks like. The all or nothing approach or the cold turkey or um, naltrexone, is that what it's called? Take this medication or go to AA. And while these things work for many people, everybody needs to find some way to the end goal that feels extremely personal, that feels like there's a really high level of emotional attachment to it and authenticity in it, or it will feel more like a struggle, more like a war with yourself or something that you have to fight through. And while that does save lives, that approach for sure, and is necessary maybe for some like more immediate action when that needs to be taken. I have had the luxury of taking the longer way, the more scenic route to get to this place. And I'm going to share with you what I believe that to be, and that is the use of language and how you speak about alcohol, how you speak about it to yourself, the messaging that comes in through propaganda, media, other people, social circles. But most importantly, it's the internal tape and the internal narrative that can be worked with and adjusted, modified to really get you feeling aligned with what you're doing. Because if you don't feel aligned with what you're doing, there's a mismatch in who you want to be and what you're actually doing. In I am HO, in my humble opinion. That's what I see. I mean, when I work with people and they're experiencing this kind of conflict, it's because they're not living their lifestyle is not a match for who they really want to be. So that's like the bird's eye view of it, right? But if we get into the nitty gritty, there's all sorts of ways that we can get there in a shorter timeline. And so language is really one of those things. And I want to talk about one specific word today in particular. Um, but let me back up because I got a little ahead of myself. What I'm actually up to is I'm on a quest of a bigger milestone. So I've been, weaning off alcohol, moderating, if you will. I don't really like that word, but mindfully consuming, consciously consuming. And it's not all been rosy posy. There have definitely been days where it's been like, okay, that was not good, or I let that go too far, but I was well aware that I was doing it. And it wasn't really in the mode of subconscious activity as it was before 2021, the 20 years prior, even 25 years before that. Um, so I've been successful. I've been successful at drinking less or not at all. But I noticed that this is what I noticed, that I've been safe about it. I've been like protecting it in a way so that I could still come back to it. I've been keeping it available as an option to me because for several reasons, but I just didn't feel like it was like my time. Like I wasn't ready. I didn't want to fight against myself, but I really wanted that natural alignment. I feel like it was just going to fall away from me, as I spoke about earlier. So I've worked on my beliefs, I've worked on my environment, my choices, my habits, but I was not up until, the last few weeks, not ready to commit to longer terms because I just didn't want to feel false. Like I didn't want to set up a commitment and not be able to keep it. I didn't want to feel like I was being untrue to myself and what I really felt like doing, which was some nights was, drinking or just having wine and watching a movie on the weekends. Like that is still what I felt like doing. And I'm in a different place now, but let me tell you why. Because I've noticed and been very honest and self-reflective about how even though it's now intermittent in my Uncle Buck style of only having IPAs on the weekends, for example, I had to be honest that that still might be in the way of my more evolving self that I wish to live into. So that conflict of what I'm doing and who I really see myself as being at this time in life. And this looks different for everybody at different phases in life, of course. So please take this on for yourself, what fits for you. This is just my story and I'm sharing it so that you potentially find some of yourself in it or some truth of yourself in what I'm saying, because what I'm saying feels very truthful to me. And take the pieces that are helpful to you and try them on and apply them and see where it gets you. But this is what I've noticed, just straight up. My kids, my four beautiful babies who mean everything to me, that I have still noticed like my shortness with them, um, reactive to them, not being able to hold a big enough space as I would like to for the four of them, especially when they come home from school, when they're getting ready for school, but even on the weekends when I was like layering that with, I'll bring a beer in the cooler to the beach and drink it on the beach. And then I'm just like sitting on my blanket and drinking the beer and watching them play. And like, it's fine, but what part of me isn't up playing in the water with them? What part of me didn't want to dig a hole with my 4-year-old? What part of me didn't want to walk halfway down like a half a mile beach and go get shells? Did I really just need to sit there? And maybe I did. This is just what I'm playing with. And my ability to give them time. Like, for example, my 8-year-old has this little fuzzy cow that she got on a recent trip to Scotland, and we made up a voice for it, and its name is Marla. And if I'm not super tired at night, I speak like I'm Marla, and Marla likes to come up and give Lulu kisses and smooch her on the face, and then she does like a funny thing where she like turns around and hides in her armpit, or she like wants to sleep under her butt. And it's like just a simple little thing. But I notice if I've been drinking that Saturday, like on Saturday night, like I just don't have it in me. It's like it's this one more thing that I have to do. And it's not a have to do. Like that's what I want to reframe in life completely is like these small things are really the most beautiful things that even subtle drinking or intermittent drinking can pull us out of or make us feel like we're not in the mood for it. But it's like these tender touches, these little brush strokes that are the most valuable things that I'm picking more up on now. I'm just getting really reality checked about that as I still have my kids in my house and their childhood so close to my influence and what I really want that to look like for them. So that's number one, like for sure. And like I can just feel my emotions like swelling up into my chest as I speak about that. And two is my nervous system and where I'm still feeling reactive and even like having quippy, quabbly quarrels with my spouse over stupid nothings. And I think, would that even have happened if I hadn't drank 3 beers throughout the duration of this afternoon? Is this a reaction that like was way bigger than it needed to be? Like I really have been honest and stepping back from that and addressing that more honestly and having my emotional swings go up and down. I'm 45 and going to be entering a perimenopause in the next few years, and I'm wondering and being honest about how much of a service I'm doing myself in deregulating myself at the same time I'm trying to regulate myself and take care of my hormones and balance all of that, being more tired than I think I should be because I do have strong health routines and practice yoga and meditate. And it made me think of there was a short with Gwyneth Paltrow. She was on Amy Poehler's podcast, Good Hang, which is such a good one. Go check it out. And Gwyneth was talking about when she was on the macrobiotics diet at a time in the late 90s or something, early 2000s, but she was also smoking cigarettes, like smoking a lot of cigarettes, but she was like, but they were organic cigarettes, but I would just be smoking cigarettes and steaming my vagina and doing the macrobiotics diet. And Amy Poehler was like, yeah, it's kind of like decorating your house while you're burning it down. And I was like, I thought that's what I've been doing to some degree. And the third thing that I've noticed is inflammation, how it's showing up in my body, which also reminds me of this quote, which is, it's all fun and games until your metabolism slows down, but it's all fun and games until inflammation flares up. And you can see this, notice where you feel or experience this in your own body. But puffiness, itchiness, burning, heat, these are all signs, symptoms of inflammation, which, if you think about the most highly inflammatory foods and beverages, alcohol and sugar are number one and number two, without period. Period. And so in my personal body, I noticed my tummy feeling puffy even after I drink for 2 days on the weekend. It would take me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to feel it calm, then to just puff it back up again. And my feet, if this is TMI, there's no TMI on my show if you've listened to it, but I have inflammation on my feet where my feet get inflamed and painful to put shoes on sometimes. And I also have a really interesting condition, I'll call it, where I have hematomas in a pattern on both of my feet. And I've looked deeply into this, but two of these dots that are on my big toe correspond with the pineal gland. And in spiritual text, it's like spirituality and health text that I've read, that it is blatantly said that alcohol calcifies the pineal gland, which dims your ability to connect with spiritual energies. Your spiritual connection is dulled because your pineal gland is becoming calcified with alcohol use. So I'm just being really honest about that, and that may be something that is being affected by even my what is now what I would have called in the past a successful way of consuming and habituating myself with alcohol. Right? We've evolved. The Uncle Buck phase I'm in. And the fourth thing that I've noticed is sexual energy. And I am in a sex, love, and relationship coaching certification, and we're studying sacred sexuality and learning about what is the difference between leaky sexual energy and versus directed sexual energy. So if you have leaky sexual energy, you're not really aware of your sexual energy, or you're using or reaching for things to help you feel sexual um, and alive in that way, but they're not coming from an internal place. So these are things like pornography, alcohol use, um, fantasizing about people that are unavailable to you, these types of things that wouldn't really be considered like healthy pastimes, versus directed sexual energy, which is the practice of, it's actually awakening. It's similar to awakening Kundalini energy, which starts at the base of the spine. And once it's released, it goes up in a series of unlocking each subsequent chakra all the way up to the top. That runs a similar pattern, but you can harness sexual energy. You can tap into your own inherent sexual energy. For women, the source of this is the cervix, and for men, it is the prostate. And you activate the sexual energy at its core, and you can bring it up the body. And I've been doing this, and it's fun, one, but two, also extremely activating in being able to direct and guide your thoughts and your personal energy into clear and direct outcomes or manifestations or results. So you can use your sexual energy in a really, I'm going to drink some tea, in a really intentional way to bring about results in your 3D reality. So when for me, when I drink alcohol, it's not available to me. So drinking on Saturday, Friday and Saturday, for example, and then wanting to come into that practice on Sunday morning, it's hazy. I've lost the progress that I've made throughout the rest of the week. So it's almost like you have to come back. You got to go back and to get back to the other layer where you were, the level where you were. So progress is really halted. It's moving in reverse. It's like that Paul Abdul song, if you will. Two forward, one back. And so all of this being said, I just have come to this place where I'm acknowledging that even this intermittent alcohol use is just no longer in service to who I wish to be. And what has helped me make this decision and come into this place, in a place that I feels aligned enough for me to speak about it publicly and release a podcast about it, is using words that are in alignment with that. So previously I would say things like, I'm just taking a break from alcohol. Well, even before that, it would be like, it's wine o'clock and yeah, oh, wine, and making all my wine jokes and mommy wine time and all of that. Words shape your identity. So the words that you're using you're moving right into them. They are creating the world. That's why we call it spelling. It is casting a spell on your environment and on your life that you are literally living right into. That's a correct use of the word literally. We don't need to throw it around all so casually as we do in our colloquial language, but that is literally what is happening. You speak yourself into your reality. And so with saying things like, in this more recent phase that I've been in, I'm just taking a break from drinking. I'm being mindful about it. I'm, having alcohol-free days. This language now to me feels outdated to me. And so I'm using even stronger language to pull me into this next phase of being. And these words specifically, the best one, my favorite one, is resolve. I resolve. I'm resolving to make this change now. This time is now. Like it is just upon me, and there's no negating or denying that because it just feels very aligned with who I am right now. I resolve. I resolve myself to sit in this phase of life, to not go backwards. I am resolved to let alcohol fall away from me in its entirety. Resolve is a really wonderful word because it creates clarity. It doesn't allow for wishy-washiness. It turns really vague intentions into definitive choice and commitment. Commitment is the other word. So I'm working with resolve and commitment. What am I committed to? What do I resolve to do? Who do I resolve to being? Who am I committed to being? It really doesn't allow for any maybes, maybe or shoulds or coulds. It's a this is what I'm doing kind of language. This is what it is now. It really strengthens and persistence. It implies endurance. It also implies that there's obstacles to be expected. But when we sit in resolve and we sit in commitment, we're better able to work through obstacles with other resources. It also is really reinforcing of identity. Just saying I am resolved, I'm just saying that feels good. I don't even need to finish that sentence, but it frames commitment as part of who you're being and not just a fleeting moment that's passing. It's claiming a part of yourself. It's an identity-based mindset that will attract other like behavior to it. So my resolve to let drinking fall away from me in its entirety is really just who I'm being right now. It's not just something I say that I'm doing, which is the moment I've been waiting for. It also has an emotional resonance. Resolve, it sounds purposeful. It feels very purposeful, which increases the level of accountability and motivation compared to words like trying or even intend to. Those are soft and those are guarded words. And they do serve as transitional. Right? I used them myself. But even at the time, I felt like, okay, I'm in this transitional place. Because in 2020, if someone had said, you resolve to let alcohol fall away from you now, I would have been like, get the fuck away. It would not have fit. So sometimes we do need to take the Uncle Buck approach or what have you, the Gwenny approach, and let things kind of coexist or let ourselves feel our way around in them a bit more. And all of this to be said, my resolve is letting alcohol fall away from me, but I have set a milestone of 1 year. And what I'm intentionally, specifically doing inside of that year, which started a couple weeks ago, is 365 days of anti-inflammatory practices and nervous system support, playing with my sexual energy in support. Oh, it's sorry, in support of uh, realizing the life that I know I'm meant to lead in lieu of drinking alcohol. And see, I just said about 4 things in lieu of this one thing. So there's so much more to be gained. It's really when you shift your perspective of what you're gaining, what are you going to get back? What are you going to explore? What are you curious about? What's on the other side of this? It doesn't feel like a loss. It feels like a trade or maybe an opportunity cost. But also, I'm getting back so much of myself to apply into these other things. I'm getting major, major things in exchange for one, which to me feels like a bargain. So I invite you to explore what this looks and feels like for you. What does this look and feel like for you? And I'm naming these things out loud. I'm saying this, well, because I'm a coach and because I'm a hypnotist and because I make public content. But I really believe that when we name things and we take them out of the world of in the hidden, the sneaky realm of what we're doing, and we just hold it up to the light, it really loses its potency. It just it doesn't have the same hold. It doesn't have the same charge. It ceases to direct and control you in a way that maybe you feel like it is. It might need some visibility. It might just need you calling it out. Say it for what it is. At the very, very beginning, I remember just saying this phrase so clearly. I think that I drink too much. And I said it, someone witnessed me saying that. And it was really like the whole Pandora's box opened just in that phrase, just in the power of that language, calling it out and naming it and it ceased to be something that I felt like I was under a spell of and turned into something that I could work with and be in relationship to and be curious about and move around in rather than something that would just like bulldoze me over every day, which it was for a long time. And so I share this with you because I know that there are so many people that experience this as well. And my wish is for everybody to find their own deep, empowered sense of peace with substance use in general, alcohol use specifically, because that's what I know, and in any way, shape, or form to be able to let go of the things that are really no longer serving you. And like what do you resolve to do about it? What does that look like for you? So I just have some questions you can ask yourself here. Number one is, what do you believe in your heart of hearts is being affected by your alcohol use? What do you really, really believe? Like, if you don't bullshit yourself, like if you were telling a therapist, if you were writing in your journal, what do you believe in your heart of hearts is really being affected by your alcohol use? Is it relationships or a specific relationship? Are there health conditions that come to mind or that are trying to get your attention? Maybe even speaking louder? Are they talents that you have, hobbies that you enjoy, your gifts, your natural gifts, the pursuit of completing things or projects, finances? What is it for you? And try to name at least three things. You can do that right now, unless you're driving. Durr. And number two is, who are you really interested in becoming? I hear this coming out of the mouths of my clients all the time. I just know I'm meant for more. I know there's more for me to experience. I know I'm supposed to be more. There's things that I want to do, have, be. It's like, it's bigger, it's greater. So, what is the bigger, greater you that calls to you? Who are you really interested in becoming? A more present parent, a more sensual partner, an entrepreneur, a spiritually connected person, an artist, someone with a highly curated, organized house. What is it for you? Make it personal. And then number three is, what do you resolve to do? What are you resolving to? Answer those questions now, or if you're listening to this in the future, you can just pause this and answer them. At least think about them. Writing things out, it has a different kind of potency, though it takes it out of our mind and puts it out in front of us so we can really look at it more objectively. So I recommend writing it down and reading it. You can burn it if you want, like no one has to see it, but you just need to get it out in front of you. And also, because we heal in community and not in isolation, we need to be witnessed. We need to be supported. We need, ideally, the guidance of someone who has gone before. Not someone who has all the answers, but someone who can help you find your own, a guide. Um, that is why I make this podcast. So I don't feel alone, but more importantly, so that we don't feel alone. So if you're experiencing any of these similar things that I've mentioned here in this episode, conditions, these rites of passage even, may you move into them more fully because you are not alone and it's your time. It's also why I'm offering a space this summer. It's called Amor. Amore. Amor. Sexy, soberish summer. Why those words? Because more out of life, but I word played here, as you can see. Amor loving yourself, loving what is, loving who you've been, loving what you get to do, loving this life, this season, your senses, the way that we engage with summer is really sensual. And I think summer is such a sensual time that I've probably missed out on more than I would like to admit. I'll admit it. I've missed out on a lot of goodness of this season that, for holding glasses and popping bottles. And there's just so much more. So amor, sexy. Why is it sexy? Because your sexiness is something that's inherent inside of you. And sexiness comes really from confidence and taking care of yourself. In my book, in my experience, that's where I find a sense of sexiness and how I feel and how I treat myself. And the alcohol, as we know, has this story attached to it that it's sexy to drink, but we all know how unsexy it is when we've drank too much. That's the anti. That is the opposite of what sexy feels and looks like. So that's what we're working on is tapping to that inherent sexiness inside of you that feels more like a just an inner guidance, an inner place to be in tune and in touch with your own sexiness. So it's not leaky sexual energy, it can be directed sexual energy. Soberish. Why soberish? Because you don't have to say, I'm just now going to be completely sober, like with a snap of my fingers. It's something that you can work through and make personal and feel emotionally connected to the whole way. Sober-ish. And also, even when I can say, hey, I just haven't drank alcohol in months, years. Sober is one of those words, and so we're speaking about language that is really super personal. I don't know that I'll use it because I microdose psilocybin and take CBD tinctures and these sorts of things, and I just don't know. I don't want to taint that word for people who really have a like a purist definition of it, which to each his own. But I don't know that sober-ish feels more like it. Sober-ish. It's summer, stepping into these warmer months that have more freedom. They have more um, excuses for celebration, right? Times for celebration and togetherness and gathering. And these are also typically times culturally where there's just way more alcohol present. So how do we navigate that at the same time where we are being tending to ourselves and aligning with soul value? So that's what we work on. So for the months of June, July, and August, I'll be releasing a private podcast coupled with a private community space for support, communication, reflection, where I will share intimately with the process of weaning, removing, and replacing alcohol with practices of honing your sexual energy, using that to manifest even, working through having alcohol alternatives that still feel like you're having fun, making kombucha, making tinctures, making elixirs that are in service to supporting your nervous system. And you don't have to show up, by the way. You don't have to show up live anywhere, like Zoom in the summer. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not doing that, and I'm not asking anybody else to do that. You do not have to, there's no structured times of classes or coursework or anything like that. It's a very free flowing program that is more of a space where I will hold you, where we will be held together, and you can work through your own relationship with alcohol in a way that feels just completely authentic to you. And I'm going to give you a ton of resources to do that. So you don't have to set sobriety dates, you don't have to track drinks, you just come as you are and you lean into learning more about yourself and your deepest desires. And that's what it is. How to be more honest, how to be self reflective with other women who understand what it's like to just have one foot in the world of being attached to drinking for whatever those reasons are for you, that you're still playing on an internal tape. We work to modify that language so that you feel an upgrade in your way that you feel, the way that you're speaking to yourself, but more importantly, how that translates into what you do. It's a natural occurrence. And it's very it's an alchemy. And also how to work through feeling frustrated, sad, stressed, how to hold, tap into your own inner wisdom, your inner beauty, your outer beauty as well in the process, and letting that be a stronger pull and motivation than collapsing back into old habits. And it's fine if it does happen. It's fine. It's normal. It's common. It's a natural way that we move out of things, right? You come in and out of them, but maybe you tap. What really does tend to happen is that you realize you do not feel as attached to them. You don't step back as often as you were, just feeling in a more empowered place at home inside yourself. So we are resolving to let the heavy things that are no longer needed just fall away so that more of the true original you can come forward. That's what we're about. The link to a more sexy, soberish summer is in the show notes. I hope you found something purposeful and meaningful for you to take and to apply for yourself, and to just be reminded that no matter where you are in this process, that it's fine. It's fine. There's nothing wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your journey. You're learning what you're meant to learn, and you're going where you're meant to go. And I'm proud of you for being here. I'm grateful that you're here, and I look forward to connecting again next time. Talk to you soon.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.